Welcome to this section. This section is all about getting bigger rewards from your trading. Okay, so if you are in this section, you should have gone through the scalping content, you should have learned the scalping strategy, and you should have already back tested and got used to seeing that particular setup on its own. Now, you'll notice that that strategy was very focused on recent price. It has very little of outside information. It's very quick in and out. You don't need to spend hours at the charts. It's very easy to see, especially after you have been back testing it a fair bit. Okay, but now we're going to be talking about how to take what we know and turn it into a better chance of success setup. Not necessarily win rate I'm talking about getting those bigger rewards, those bigger risk rewards. And scalping isn't for everybody. Okay, and so this is a way of expanding what you know instead of just teaching you loads of other stuff and then bringing some really nice institutional concepts in that are going to really help with your understanding and add really great confluence to what you already know. Okay, so it's going to be really interesting. And ultimately, okay, as I've written down here, a bigger reward, so a bigger risk reward requires more context. On the 5 minute, okay, we are utilizing 2 time frames. Okay, we are utilizing the 5 minute and we're utilizing the 1 minute for confirmation and entries. Okay, this is absolutely fine for a scalp. Okay, for just like, let's just say about 5 pips. Okay. Now, if you want to start getting more than that, you are going to need more context. Okay. And a very simple way to do that is simply to add 1 or more time frames to the equation. Okay. And so, for example, down here, we've got the example of the 4 hour, the 5 minute, and the 1 minute, the daily, the 4 hour, the 30 minute, the 30 minute, the 5 minute, and the 1 minute. Okay. Now, it's very simple. Okay, what we're going to start doing here is we're going to expand our time frames. We're going to expand our time frames and basically repeat the process that you already know. Now, there are small little nuance differences and stuff like that, but don't worry about that. I'm going to cover that in future parts to this section. Okay, but for now, we're just going to do that. And then once we've understood that, once we've understood a really great way to do that, we're going to take everything to the absolute next level by understanding some institutional concepts like liquidity, spotting liquidity pools, psychological numbers, and how you can combine all of these things in just such an easy to understand way in order to maximize your trading plan results. And it's just going to really take things to the next level. And I'm all about simplicity. I don't like making things overly complicated, which is why I've structured things in a way where you've learned the scalping strategy first, the simplest form, and then we're going to expand on that. And then we're going to add some optional confluence to just take it to the next level. Okay, so that's very simple. That's all I really kind of wanted to go over. But one other thing I will mention is that all strategies are comprised of this. You have your directional bias, then you have your area of interest, okay, and then you have your entry trigger. Okay, people brand their, they brand their particular method. Or I've got the YMCA method or the GADBATTT8 method, whatever. I don't really care what you call it. Ultimately, this is what every single strategy comes down to. Okay, and ultimately, you need a systematic way to get to your directional bias. You need a systematic way to get to your area of interest and a systematic way to have your entry trigger. Now, I will say that most people go wrong in they have a relatively systematic way of detecting their bias. Most people go wrong here, however, in their area of interest, because they will try and trade order blocks, but also support, but also resistance, also supply and demand, also magic 8 zones, XXX pattern, all of these weird patterns, M patterns, W patterns, accumulation ranges. They're trying to trade 101 different areas of interest. And what the real key to success is it is just focusing on less. Less is more, because you are allowed to master a particular thing. Okay, and we are going to be focusing mainly on order blocks and those kind of displacement zones that we talked about. We're just going to expand on that. Okay, and those are going to be our areas of interest. Okay, because it's very important that you understand that we have our core strategy, and it's very important to separate that from your confluence factors. Okay, so this is the core strategy. And then we're going to have the confluence factors as well. Now, it's up to you whether the confluence factors are compulsory or not. Okay, for some of you, you might just be like, okay, well, if I have the confluence, that's great. Like, I can take that, and that's just more reason for me to do it. But if not, like, I'll take it anyway. Okay, but for others of you who want just more confluence and you need more confidence, you could say, okay, I need to have these confluence factors. But either way, I like to separate the strategy from the confluence because it basically simplifies the whole process. You have your set in stone strategy, and then you have these predetermined confluence factors that can aid to, improve your results and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. That's the end of this part, very, very short. In the next one, we are going to be discussing the core setup matrix and how you can use those multiple timeframes to build a bigger picture, ultimately get more context, and give and leave us open to getting those bigger risk reward setups. So look forward to seeing you on that one, and I'll see you soon.